President Trump signs a bill requiring the Justice Department to release files related to Jeffrey Epstein, following a near-unanimous vote in Congress. U.S. officials arrive in Ukraine as reports surface that Washington and Moscow have prepared a new plan to end the war. The British Defence Secretary warns that military options are ready should a Russian spy ship on the edge of UK waters change course. Meta will revoke access to Facebook and Instagram for thousands of young Australian teenagers ahead of the country's social media ban. And coming up on Business Today, Nvidia reports record sales and lifts its guidance for the current quarter, calming investors' concerns of an AI bubble. Now, social media giant Meta says it will begin shutting down the Facebook, Instagram and Threads accounts of younger Australian teenagers ahead of the country's social media ban for under 16s. Meta notified users aged between 13 and 15 that it will begin deactivating their accounts from the 4th of December.
Colombia's defense minister says the military will continue to bomb rebel guerrilla positions despite a dozen children recently being killed in those attacks. Opponent politicians argue that the children were forcibly recruited to fight and asked the government to suspend its campaign, but the defense minister says armed forces are acting within the law, blaming guerrillas for any deaths of children. A 32-year-old man accused of stabbing 10 people on a train from Doncaster to London earlier this month has been charged with further offenses. Anthony Williams faces 7 additional charges, including 2 counts of attempted murder unrelated to that train journey. The Supreme Court of Appeals in Italy ruled that a former Ukrainian military officer should be extradited to Berlin to face charges of blowing up Russia's deep-sea Nord Stream gas pipelines to Germany. He was arrested in Italy this summer, but his lawyer told the BBC that at the time of the explosions, his client was a serving soldier. Ukraine denied any role in the blasts.
To the Philippines next, where a court has sentenced former Bamban Mayor Alice Guo to life imprisonment after convicting her in a qualified trafficking case linked to scam operations in her district. For the latest, let's speak with Jonathan Head. He's our Southeast Asia correspondent. Jonathan, tell us more about Alice Guo and this sentencing.
Steve, this is an absolutely extraordinary story, and it really has had the Philippines gripped ever since it first broke. Alice Guo was mayor of this small town called Bamban, north of Manila, which she won. She became mayor in 2022, a very narrow victory, but she came from almost nowhere. Nobody knew much about her. She was a very popular mayor, very cheery, colourful character. I mean, she painted the mayoral office pink and put flowers on it. She also appeared to be very wealthy. She drove very luxurious cars. She had a personal helicopter. I think she was running it as a company. And that was all anyone knew about her until the police raided a compound in Bamban in March last year, when they uncovered what was the largest ever scam hub operating in the Philippines. They released hundreds of workers, many of them foreigners who'd been trafficked and were being held against their will. And this was land that had been leased by Alice Guo. She'd actually controlled it and leased it to this company. Of course, she was mayor. And so she was immediately accused of involvement. She denied it. As the case unfolded, it turned out her entire life story was a fiction. She claimed to have been brought up and homeschooled in the Philippines. She said she was born there. It turns out she migrated from China. She's a Chinese national and migrated as a teenager. And this raised all sorts of warning flags in the eyes of many Filipinos. She was at one point accused of being a Chinese spy. And the country's been focused on her case. She actually managed to escape to Indonesia last year and was then extradited back and has been on trial since then. And so this trial has come to a conclusion and the court has found her and some of her associates guilty of human trafficking. She now has a life imprisonment term.